Now, let's go to the other side of the world, and we all knew, didn't we? It was all so obvious what would be the inevitable consequences on the US southern border of the Democrats' repositioning on border protection. Former President Donald Trump, as you know, was tough on border protection. He emphasised that by talking about his border wall, promising a border wall and then starting to build it. Now, this wall was nowhere near as radical as Trump pretended, and his critics fell for the sucker punch by opposing it hysterically. Of course, large sections of the US-Mexican border have long been sealed off by fences, walls, moats and heavily patrolled no man's land. Still, Trump was toughening it up, and the Democrats foolishly promised to stop building the wall. And they said they'd offer a more compassionate border policy. Sound familiar? We all knew where that would lead. Here in Australia, we've seen that movie before. It invites more illegal immigrants, it creates chaos and ultimately more human trauma and tragedy. And so that's exactly what's happened on the border between the US and Mexico. The numbers started rising within weeks of Joe Biden's election. People came from further afield. Authorities have been overwhelmed, and the Democrats' President Joe Biden and his Vice President Kamala Harris have got one hell of a humanitarian drama to deal with now. So that brings us to the here and now. And Harris has been on a visit to Guatemala, one of the Central American source countries for illegal migrants. And she had this message.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. There are legal methods by which migration can and should occur. But we, as one of our priorities, will discourage illegal migration. And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back. So let's discourage our friends, our neighbors, our family members from embarking on what is otherwise an extremely dangerous journey.
Yep, talking tough now, don't come, and if you do try, you won't get in. Talking like Trump now, but the Democrats sent out the message. They had to oppose Trump on borders, didn't they? It was all about domestic politics, trying to appeal to the left. Sadly, Harris and Biden now have generated a horrible mess of their own making, and now they're essentially trying to rescind the invitation they've sent out. But their actions have already spoken louder than words. Maybe they'll have to build a wall or something.